everyone, and welcome to episode 15 of the Web Elements series. Today, I'm going to continue the attempt to create what we failed in the last episode. To create this, all the code I had written that day was correct, except there was one little mistake that ruined the whole idea. And I would be today giving the entire correct code. So, let's begin. You would obviously start with creating the file, like no, this way, and I would write the name episode 15, then obviously index15.html and style15.css. Sorry for that. So now we'll close the sidebar and we would go to the first one. And now we have to first obviously bring the boilerplate and link the CSS. So I would write link and style 15, which is obviously a name. I would name it attempt 2. Let's save it and let's run the live server. And as you can see, the name has come as the attempt 2. You would be wondering, what is this? This is the background I have decided for this video. So first comes, we have to create a div, which I would name container. And then we need 8 spans. So write span. I would give all of them a same name, which is sp, then multiply by 8. So now we have to put all of them in a different line to work properly with them. This sometimes gets annoying to work like this, but chose it myself. Now I'll go with Control Alt. Oh no, we do not even require the Control Alt. I would simply write the name first, second, third, fourth. You can continue without this. Like, you can give some other names. And if in case you are advanced than me, like not me, all of the main audience, those are complete beginners, then you can straight away go with the last child and child properties. But you know, it's a struggle for beginners to do such things in the beginning, so I have to tell them in this way. So that's the entire HTML we need. Now it's time for the CSS. So let's go with star and box sizing, border box. Then comes body. And for body, the first thing we have to do is obviously a position, which has to be relative. Then margin, like whenever putting a margin value in body, either it is margin or padding, just simply keep it to 0. That is like a rule of thumb that no one needs to even tell. Now we have to give the background, which I will write URL, and then we'll just copy and paste this URL. So I'll copy it and paste. And now next comes the background size. As we want to use that image to completely cover our background, so we'll give background size cover. Then comes background position, and obviously it has to be in the center. There can't be any other place for our background. It should be centered with the entire page. Then comes background attachment. It simply means that do you want the background to move? Like I have given scroll, so it will move on scrolling. But if I would have given a value as fixed, then it would not move at all. So I have given a perspective of 1000 pixels. It is simply the perspective of all the elements. Here only the div, because div is containing all the spans. So if I say it only affects the div, then it also affects the spans. As you can see, the background is here. Now we have to work on the div. As we have given the div a name container, so I'll write position absolute because we want its position to be fixed. Then comes width, which I'll give a value of 40 VW. And then comes height, which I'll again give a value of, I would go 60 VH. Then comes inset. As I also told in the last video, inset simply means that do you want the other properties to affect the inner area of that div, which we do not want at all. So then comes margin. We need to keep it auto so that it looks uniform. Then is box shadow. So the box shadow needs to be 0, then 2 pixels, 5 pixel, 1 pixel, then an RGBA value of 0, 0, 0, 0.15. If you have seen the last episode, let me tell you this thing that in that one I didn't give all the values that I was thinking of. Later on, I thought that what other values are compatible. So I'd be giving those values also. Now comes minus 5 pixels and then an RGBA value. Like now we need the value to be 0.3. Simply the double of 0.15. And now we have to give another property with it, which is inset. And then comes again 0, 150 pixels and 100 pixels and minus 80 pixels and again a RGBA value, but this time the value is 4. So let's save it and let's see how it looks. As you can see, it is quite differentiated. You would be wondering why is it more like a square. Just see this. It also expands as per the sizing. We can't go any further else it would have also ended up as a square. But we can later on change it. We have to simply decrease the height, or maybe I'll do it right now. So I will take it to 40. As you can see now, it is a rectangle. And to be honest, it is looking good as a rectangle, so I'll go with it. Now we have to give it a transform. The only transform we require is translate y, because we only need to give changes in the values of the y-axis. We don't want it to move on the y-axis, so translate y is having a value of 0 pixels. Then is rotate y. and we want to rotate it at the y-axis. So I would give a value of 20 degree. You can give any value, but later on I realized that as per the sizing and as per the movement, it would be approximately 20 degrees. And here ends the transform. Now it's the turn for transition, which is simply that how smoothly and how much time it will take to move. And that's it for the container. You can't see any change because we haven't given any other properties. Like we have simply defined what the div has to behave like. Now it's the turn for span. As we have given a different name for the spans, like the class name that is same for all is sp. So I will be giving values there. So display block, so that they arrange themselves into a block like structure and not overlap at all, or don't even touch occasionally. Like whenever resizing, at that time it should be better. So position absolute. Then comes z index. We want it to be in the front of everything. Like we don't want it to be behind the div, because then it would be of no benefit in actual. Now z, after the z index comes width. We want the width to be 100%. Like all of them should take as much space as they require, and also the height. Now we'll give a value of offset. Okay, and the value would be 40%. After that comes backdrop filter, and this was the mistake that ruined the last episode. Like I by mistake wrote background instead of backdrop, which to be honest completely destroyed my ideas there. And it was such an typing mistake that I can't even find it myself, although I was the one who coded it. So that's a lesson for you all, to take care that you don't do such silly mistakes. So backdrop filter, and I would simply paste the value I copied from above. Now it's WebKit mask image. So it would be linear gradient, and I'll write to right. Ahead of it I would write transparent, so that it is transparent. And then calc, although I have described all this, that how it works in the last episode, but still I would do a little bit explaining. Like we are giving it in a kind, you can say, kind of function. I would be later on describing what functions are. In an episode I would be releasing most probably on Sunday, or maybe before. I can't be that confident about when I would be doing it. So we are asking it to calculate the values itself, because later on we would be bringing some changes into the values, and then giving each and every value for each and every condition would be quite difficult. So we are using it this way. Although it's your wish, if you want to go from the harder way, then it's your wish. So now comes where. Like they are mostly similar, except there we were doing minus the offset, and here we would be doing plus offset. So right where, and why is it showing? Okay, it is because of the mask image. Okay, there is some issue there. Let me just make the CSS side bigger so that I can see it properly and what the issue is. It was this. A parenthesis that I left in between somewhere. So transition all, here we would be giving the value of 1 second because we want to give the blur and deblur system a little bit time. Now it's turn for the first, then comes, okay, I would just do one thing. So I'd copy this. We would be doing it a little bit simultaneously, like it's a little bit difficult to say what my thoughts are. I'm simply saying that we would do the before and after like a little bit simultaneously so that it is easier to understand for you. So we want the value of blur here to be an equivalent of, let's say, 24 pixels. And we want the value of x to be equal to 12.5%. Okay. But for this, like the value of x is going to be same. Or let me do it in a, okay, let's keep it simple. I was going to do the common properties at in one system and then create each individual property differently, which would have gone a little bit complicated, but we won't go that way. So minus blur, here the value would be reversed, so 0 pixels. But the value of x is supposed to remain same in all these circumstances. So 12.5%. Also, I would do one thing, that dot container hover should be in the front. Like we should first tell what they have to do. So transform with again translate y, which is 0 pixels. Then rotate y, which is 20°. And then comes scale 1. We could also change the scale, like it would just enlarge itself, but for now I'm focusing on replication process alone. Now comes second. So now again dot container hover dot second. So minus blur, and the value for blur here has to be 20 pixels. And the value of x has to be, like, I would say 25%. And also, as I said, the value of x will remain the same. I would write the value for blur first because I'm following that pattern. Now comes x, and we would give it a value of 25% again. Let's see, is it working right now or we have to end it? As you can see, it is moving, and you can see that there is blur on one side, although it is straight for now, like it is completely facing the user and is parallel to the screen. But when we hover, as you can see, the blur gets removed and it is tilting to the right side. Now it's time for the third. So I'll write blur, and the value for blur should be 16 pixels. And the value for x should be, like I would say, 37.5%. And then comes the container hover dot third. Here the value for blur has to be, I don't know why it isn't showing blur, like in the embed abbreviation I'm talking. So here the value has to be 4 pixels. You can give random values. There is no such compulsion in following these values also. These are just, I'm trying to create an order in this chaos. Simply said. So the value of blur here has to be 12 pixels. And the value of X has to be obviously 50%. Okay, I kind of by mistake didn't put. Let's save it and again check it once. As you can see now, it is, the left side is completely blur, but the right side isn't. And the center is remaining blur under all circumstances because we have given such values. Like for the first, we have given the value like the blur is previously 24, then it becomes 0. On hover, this becomes 2. But for the middle ones, there is a value such as 4, and then we would be giving some extra value here. So container hover, then comes fourth, minus blur, and the value here has to be 8 pixels. Wait, I think I missed something. Let me think. Okay, it has to be 8 pixels. I am just getting confused in between those, but I'll still go this way. You need not to be confused. The code would be present in the comment section, so you can analyze it there. If in case my speaking isn't enough to make you understand this, because it could happen. I'm not experienced in teaching, so it could be that my ways aren't optimized to make you understand things. But I am trying my best. And I would hope that I become even better in teaching you these things. So here comes 8 pixels and minus x. So now the value has to be 62.5%. So dot container, and then comes fifth, blur, and the blur has to be of 12 pixels. Then comes x, and it has to be again 62.5%. Then comes the sixth. Like I think the pace of the video is faster than usual, which could be good. Like the video is shorter, so you can rewatch it if ever required. Although I'm trying my best to make it in such a way that you do not require to watch it again. Although it would benefit me ultimately, but still, I wouldn't like to kind of trouble you all. So now it comes sixth, blur, and the value would be 16 pixels, and the value for x is 75%. Here I'm simply creating a kind of series of 12.5 then 25. I'm simply doubling it, or you can say I have created a table of 12.5 and continuing it. So now comes the seventh. We are almost at the end of this code and this video, but there is still some part left. I'm not sure, but I may later on show the divs individually so that you understand better how they look. And now I would do the value should be here 87.5%. And now the container hover, again the blur, and the value here should be 20 pixels minus x, and here the value should be 87.5%. Now again it's turn for 8th. Wait, yeah, now it's better. I forgot to do one thing here. Like, don't be such careless. You would later on regret such things. Like I am. You know how and what happened has been told to you. So now the values, I would have given 100%, but I would go with 120% to ensure that the values look a little bit significant. So now it's turn for container hover and 8th. Again the blur, and now the blur has to be at its highest value, which is 24 pixels again, and minus x 120%. Now let's save it. Let's see it. Yeah, this is enough. So this is it. I think there is some fault that it is in the front like this. Let me check what the problem is. Okay. Now I know. Where I specified this value, I forgot to put a minus sign here. I had to put a minus sign. And maybe I did some mistake up above also, which I don't really know what mistake is that is causing me problem. Okay, I forgot to put a comma that simply made him refuse to turn on one side. And it isn't the problem. What is this behavior? What could be the problem other than this? So rotate y 20 degrees. Everything seems to be correct. Let me think of it. Wait. I am putting commas although no commas are required. Maybe that's the problem. And here we are. As you can see, it isn't that much blurry this side, but when we go this side, it becomes completely blurry and this side is clear now. Let's give it a little bit of color. So we can give that color here, like background color. I would give it, and I can't give black, so I would go with that. Or no, we would give RGBA colors. So I think cyan has something like this as its RGBA value. I'm not sure. And as you can see, now it is a little bit cyan colored. And it does look good. But if compared to this, first of all, the background image selection is really good. So it is a plus point for this project. Although I didn't choose that much good one. But we can simply change it later on. And also I found it on Unsplash. If in case you are wondering where I got it from, you can see this. It was a closed tab. Or I'll just, no, this can't be used. I'll just change the image for once. So now we'll go with open image in new tab. And now let's copy it. So let's do V. Save. And here is the image. As you can see now in a detailed way that how it is de-blurring itself. Let me go with 100% there because I'm seeing a little bit of blur there. So where's the values? Let's go to 100% to eradicate any like a blurry effect that is happening for no reason. Like now you can see it is more clear. Now let me show you the spans if they appear this way. So if we go like this entirety is a span, is the span, not is a span. As you can see, this is the entire container. Okay, this is the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth. So they all are stacked on each other inside this div, which is so big. As you can see here, we can see the margin values. That entire is the margin. There is no padding. There is no padding or border. And here is the original content size, which is 369.81 and 368.35. Like for this, we created such big things. We aren't using any JavaScript in actual, but you know, there is always some by default. You can simply check the properties of any website like this. I would show you how to do it again. Simply right click, inspect. Also, you would have noticed that it is responsive. Responsive simply means that it changes its size according to the size of the screen. Like currently we have decreased the size of the screen, so it is like becoming smaller. But when we increase it, it would grow. And you just in advance, I'm telling you this basic thing. You can simply change the views from here. Like if you want to check how it would look on an iPhone, this is your way. This simply the black colored circle appearing is simply the where the finger is striking. Although technically thinking, you can't see this effect on a mobile phone because it is a hover effect. You can't hover on a mobile phone. So that's it for today. Subscribe to the channel, like it if you like the video in real. Till then, bye.